Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people in any room are often the ones saying the least? They don't argue, they don't explain themselves, they don't desperately try to prove their worth through words. They simply exist with a presence so commanding that everyone else feels compelled to fill the silence around them. And suddenly, everything shifts. The energy changes. People start to question, to chase, to feel unsettled by what they cannot control or predict. Now imagine if you possessed this same power. If you stopped reacting to every provocation, stopped explaining every decision, stopped justifying your existence to people who never deserved an explanation in the first place. What do you think would happen? That's exactly what Friedrich Nietzsche understood over a century ago. The philosopher who declared that what does not kill me makes me stronger knew something that most people spend their entire lives missing. True power doesn't come from dominating others through force or words. It comes from mastering yourself so completely that your very presence becomes a statement. But here's the truth that perhaps no one has told you with this clarity. What most people call outsmarting others is actually just emotional manipulation disguised as strategy. They think power means making others feel small, controlling conversations, or winning petty arguments. But Nietzsche saw through this illusion completely. For Nietzsche, real intelligence wasn't about defeating others. It was about what he called the will to power, but not the kind of power that weak people imagine. This wasn't about crushing your enemies or proving your superiority. It was about becoming so secure in your own values, so clear about your own direction, that you no longer needed external validation to feel complete. Think about this for a moment. When you argue with someone, when you feel compelled to defend yourself, when you desperately try to change someone's mind about you, what are you really doing? You're giving them power over your emotional state. You're allowing their opinion to determine your inner peace. You're essentially saying, I need you to understand me for me to feel okay about myself. And that's exactly where most people lose the game before it even begins. Because the moment you need someone else's approval, you've already surrendered your power to them. You've become predictable. And everything that is predictable becomes a tool in someone else's hands. Nietzsche called this slave morality, the desperate need to be liked, understood, and accepted by others. But he also spoke of something far more powerful, master morality, the ability to create your own values, to live by your own standards, to become your own source of validation. When you operate from this place of inner authority, something remarkable happens. Your silence becomes more powerful than other people's words. Your calm presence becomes more intimidating than their anger. Your refusal to engage becomes more crushing than any argument you could make. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people are completely unprepared for this kind of power. They're used to manipulating others through emotional reactions, through guilt, through drama. They push buttons expecting you to dance to their tune. But when you simply refuse to react, when you remain centered in your own truth, they don't know what to do. And that's when their mask starts to slip. That's when you see who they really are underneath all the noise and manipulation. Because your silence forces them to confront something they've been avoiding, themselves. Nietzsche understood that this process of self-mastery wasn't easy. He called it self-overcoming, the continuous work of becoming who you truly are beneath all the expectations, fears, and conditioning that society has layered onto you. It's about shedding the snakeskin of your old self, the version of you that needed everyone's approval to feel worthy. But here's what happens when you begin this transformation. People who were used to controlling you through your reactions suddenly find themselves powerless. The friend who always created drama to get attention discovers that you no longer participate in their emotional chaos. The colleague who tried to provoke you realizes that you've become unshakable. The family member who guilt-tripped you into compliance finds that their old tricks no longer work. And this terrifies them, because your inner strength reveals their inner weakness. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your self-possession highlights their desperation. Now, you might be thinking, but won't this make me seem cold or arrogant? And here's the crucial distinction that Nietzsche made clear. There's a massive difference between genuine strength and fake superiority. Genuine strength doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to make others feel small. It simply exists, confident in its own worth. Fake superiority, on the other hand, constantly needs validation. It needs to win arguments to be right, to make others wrong. It's actually a form of weakness disguised as strength, and people can sense this difference immediately. When you develop genuine inner strength, you become selective about where you invest your energy. You stop wasting time on people who don't deserve your attention. You stop engaging in pointless debates with people who have no interest in truth. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided what they want to believe about you. This selectivity isn't cruelty, it's wisdom. Because as Nietzsche taught, your energy is limited and precious. Every moment you spend trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced is a moment stolen from your own growth, your own peace, your own authentic life. But the most powerful aspect of this transformation is how it changes your relationship with yourself. When you stop seeking validation from others, you discover something incredible. You already have everything you need inside you. You don't need someone else's approval to feel worthy. You don't need someone else's understanding to feel complete. This is what Nietzsche called the Übermensch. Not a superior being in the sense of being better than others, but a person who has transcended the need for external validation. Someone who has become their own source of meaning, their own judge of worth, their own creator of values. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing others' approval, you often start receiving their respect. The moment you stop trying to impress people, you become impressive. The moment you stop seeking attention, you become magnetic. Because there's something irresistibly powerful about a person who is complete within themselves. Something fascinating about someone who doesn't need you to like them to feel good about themselves. Something compelling about a person who has mastered their own inner world so completely that external chaos cannot touch them. This is the ultimate way to outsmart anyone, not through manipulation or clever words, but through becoming so grounded in your own truth that you become unshakable. When you reach this level of inner mastery, you don't need to outmaneuver anyone. You simply exist from such a place of authentic power that others naturally respect your boundaries. But remember, this transformation requires something most people aren't willing to give: time alone with yourself. Nietzsche spent much of his life in solitude, not because he hated people, but because he understood that true strength is built in silence, away from the world's opinions and expectations. So if you're ready to stop being controlled by others' emotions, if you're ready to stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve explanations, if you're ready to become your own source of validation and strength, then you're ready to begin the most important journey of your life. The journey from needing others' approval to becoming genuinely complete within yourself. The journey from slave morality to master morality. The journey from reactive weakness to authentic power. And when you complete this journey, you'll discover something that Nietzsche knew all along. The strongest people don't need to prove their strength. They simply embody it. And that embodiment speaks louder than any words ever could. Are you ready to stop talking and start becoming? Are you ready to let your presence do the speaking while your words become rare and precious? Because when you do, everything changes. And you'll never need to outsmart anyone again. You'll simply be too centered in your own power for their games to touch you. The question isn't whether you can do this. The question is whether you're willing to pay the price of being misunderstood by those who preferred the old reactive version of you. Are you willing to be truly free?